guys, Ethan Way here, and welcome back to another FIFA 18 Ultimate Team video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Path to Glory cards, and I'm going to be showing you guys all of the best ones to invest in. We've got discard price investments that are very, very cheap if you don't have too many coins, all the way up to the most expensive, which I believe is Gabriel Jesus right now, setting you back around 800,000 coins on both consoles. I'm going to be going through every single player, saying whether or not it's a good investment and whether or not I would recommend picking up. I normally do these for Team of the Week, Ultimate Scream, ones to watch, all those events like that, and they always seem to help you guys out and make you lots of coins. But before getting on into the video, if you guys are new around here, don't forget to subscribe, as I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers before the end of the year. And also, if you guys could leave a like on the video as well, that would be very much appreciated. But without further ado, let's go on into the investments. So for those of you who don't know, these Path to Glory items work in a very similar way to the ones to watch cards that were released a couple of weeks ago. So they get boosted up throughout the year whenever they get special cards. That includes informs, man of the matches, team of the group stage, team of the tournament, record breaker, any of those cards like that. They will be boosted up. The only ones that won't receive the same rating and the same stats and get boosted are Player of the Month, Team of the Year, and Team of the Season cards. So let's say, for example, Leroy Sané down here wins the Player of the Month award next week. This version here, the Path to Glory item, won't get boosted up to the same rating, so he won't go up, let's say, to an 85 or an 84 or whatever Player of the Month Sané gets, just because those cards don't get boosted. So SBC cards, Player of the Month, Team of the Season, and Team of the Year, if any of these cards here get cards like that, these Path to Glory items won't get boosted to the same ratings. But if they get informs, man of the matches, anything like that, they will get boosted up just in the same way that ones to watch cards go up. So for example, Dimitri Payet, if he gets in the next Team of the Week, maybe with an 86 rated inform, this card here will go up and get the same stats and same rating, but they will keep their default position. And quite a few of these cards have had position changes. So for example, Rashford to a left mid, we've got Origi right here to a striker, and he's got an inform as a right mid. Asensio from attacking midfield to left wing, Danny Welbeck, and there are a couple of others that have been moved out wide or just moved into different positions. One thing to bear in mind, let's say Danny Welbeck gets an inform at striker, this card right here will stay as a left mid, so it won't move to a striker. They just keep their positions they have for these cards. So that's one thing to bear in mind, which may affect some of these players' value, just because striker cards are normally more popular than winger cards. If Rashford gets a striker inform, it will be more expensive than on the wing, and this one will obviously be on the wing. So that's one thing to bear in mind, but we can divide the investments into two separate sections. We've got the investments for SBCs. They're going to be the very cheap discard price ones. They're going to be useful for any squad builder challenges in the future. Most likely Footmas. We're going to be seeing lots of SBCs. Last year we saw around 33 released every day throughout Advent, and those required loads of special cards. Ones to watch is Movember cards, Ultimate Scream cards, informs. Pretty much every special cards that had been released were needed in those Footmas SBCs last year. I think it's going to be the same this year, and we're going to see plenty of SBCs that are going to require these Path to Glory items throughout the course of FIFA 18, and if you get some discard price ones, you're going to be covering those options. And then we've got good players who are likely to get informs and are likely to be worth a lot of coins. They're also decent investments for you guys to get, as they could get informs throughout the year, and their code will get a boost up and go up in value. So we're going to start off with those discard price investments. Hervedes is a great one, and you get him right now for about 15k. He'll probably drop to about 13k or so during Sunday when Squad Battle Awards come out. That's the best time to buy these investments, in my opinion. Just keep an eye on the market, and they should be at their cheapest. You can get them on bid or snipe them when Squad Battle Awards come out. So Hervedes is a great one. Good league, good nation, good club. He doesn't really play too much for either Germany or Juventus, just because Boateng and Hummel start ahead of him, and also Sula for Germany, and then you've got Benatia, Barzagli, and Chiellini all playing for Juventus. So he's not really that likely to get informs. You never know though, he could, but he does have a good card, good rating overall, 83. He's going to be useful for SBCs. We also have Wagner. He's again got a good club, well, not the best of clubs, but a good league, and also a good nation, and a decent rating, 82, and he is pretty cheap too. But I know I said he doesn't have the best of clubs. There are actually quite a few informs that play for this specific team. Hoffenheim, you've got 84 rated Kramaric, and there's also an 82 rated inform left mid. So always good for SBCs there, and you can get him very, very cheaply. Carvalho, again, very similar, decent league, decent nation, not as good as the two others, but he does have 83 rating overall, and he's very, very cheap to about 15k. We also have a couple of other options down here. You've got people like Forsberg. They're slightly more expensive, but they're again decent options. And Forsberg, although he is a little bit more, he is about 22k right now, he's got a much better chance of getting informs. So you can still get cards like this, which are going to cover both options. Then they're quite cheap, so they can be useful for SBCs, but also could get informs throughout the year. So they're the best ones, in my opinion, for the kind of really cheap, low risk investments for any SBCs. Wagner, Carvalho, and then also you can get Hervedes. You've got people like Joe Hart, Forsberg, and Oxlade-Chamberlain, who are about 10k more and have a better chance of getting informs. But personally, if you just want to get some low risk investments, I would recommend going with people like Wagner, Carvalho, and also Hoverdesk. Now with the players who I think are going to be good investments for the chance of them potentially getting informs, Marquinhos is a great one. Right now, he is around about 35 to 40,000 coins as the lowest by now. I could see him dropping to about 30k at his cheapest. And if you look at that card right there, if he gets informs, which he has had a lot of in the past on FIFA, last year he got 2 or 3, the year before he got a couple as well. He went up a lot in value. Last year, I think he had 3 informs in the end, and his first inform was worth about 40k or so, maybe even a little bit more upon release. And he had worse stats than this card right here because he got a big boost last year. To this year, so now he's got an 83 rating. He was like 80 or 81 last year, so now he is actually a pretty high rated card. If he gets an inform, he's going to be 84, 85, and I could see him being worth a lot more coins than just 30k. Last year he had a worse card than this for his first inform. It was worth about 50k. This year I could see an inform Marquinhos being at least 50 to 60k for a first inform, and he could potentially get more throughout the year. So I think that's a really good investment right now. If you can get him for about 30 to 40k, that's a very good price for a player who I think has got a good chance of getting informs, and if he does, will rise up a lot in value. We also have some more decent options down here. Now, I would definitely recommend trying to pick up some cheap cards like Rodrigo, who are going to have a really big boost when they get informs, because he's 78. If he gets an inform, he's going to go up a lot, and you can get this guy so cheaply. If you get him for about 20,000 coins, so I could easily see him hitting that price. If he gets an inform, he's going to go up to like an 82 rating overall. Maybe 81, and he's going to have a really nice card with like 93 pace or so. I don't think he's having the best of season so far for Valencia, but all it takes is 2 or 3 goals, or maybe a goal and an assist or anything like that for him to get an inform. So he could be bad in every single game apart from one this season, and he could still get an inform. And since he's so cheap, I would recommend just picking one up, because if he does get an inform, he'll get a big boost overall, he'll go up a lot in value, and he will have a really good card as well. We've also got people like Danny Welbeck. He's so cheap. He's about 20k, maybe even cheaper. I could see him dropping to about 18, maybe even cheaper during squad battle wars. He's a Premier League player, and if he gets an inform, he's not that likely to get an inform this year, but if he does, he's going to go up so much in value, and if he doesn't, then you've got a really cheap card that you can use in SBCs, or you can just sell on. These cards will naturally rise up in value after they've gone out of packs, just because they're no longer being packed and the supply is going to be much lower, so they're naturally going to rise up. But this one here, you can get him so cheaply, and a Premier League player, English, playing for Arsenal with decent stats. I mean, he's got good physical, good passing, good shooting, good dribbling, and really good pace there. If he gets an inform, they're going to be nicely boosted up. He'll have over 80 for dribbling, physical, maybe shooting, and definitely pace. I could definitely see that card being worth about 40 or 50k. I know it would be on the wing, but still, I reckon that would be definitely a card that will go up a lot in value, and you could definitely pick him up. He doesn't play game in, game out, but if he does start, he's going to go up a lot in value. We saw with the ones to watch items, whenever they start games, their prices go up a lot, and they just rise up throughout the week. You can trade with these exactly the same as we would with the ones to watch items, and if you look at some of the ones to watch cards, very few of them are around this price. The cheapest ones are about 15 to 20k, and they're players who don't play that much and don't play in the best of leagues. Someone like Welbeck, he is definitely worth more than 20k with this card here, so he's a good one to go and get. And I'd say exactly the same for Oxlade-Chamberlain. Again, he doesn't play game in, game out, but he's scored a couple of goals for Liverpool so far. I think he scored 1 in their last game. And I know he's not that likely to get informs throughout the year, but he's like 25k. And if he scores a goal, anything like that, he's going to go up considerably in value. You can just pick one of these cards up, keep them in your club, as they're going to be cheap now. They're not going to get much cheaper throughout the rest of the year. So if you get these cards, when squad battle wars come out, you're going to be getting them pretty much at their cheapest. He's naturally going to rise up anyway, and you'll be able to sell him maybe just before he plays a game. If he's announced in the starting 11, he's going to go up about 5 or 6k in price. If he scores a goal, you could see someone like this rising up to about 40k or so. If he gets an inform, he could go up even more. So really good one to pick up there, as he is just so cheap. Joe Hart is pretty similar with him. He's not had the best of seasons so far, but he had a couple of games where he's made some really good saves. And let's say he saves a penalty, for example, you could easily see this card flying up in value to about 50k or so. If you can get him for maybe 20 to 25k, it's another one that's going to be useful potentially for SBCs, and also could rise up loads and loads if he does end up making loads of good saves or anything like that, maybe saving a couple of penalties. He is a good penalty saver in real life. He does actually save a lot of penalties, so if he does save one, for example, he could go up a lot in value. And again, he's just one of those players that's going to go up before games, because a lot of these cards are Premier League items, and they always just have the hype around them being Premier League cards. So I could definitely see him rising up. Bakayoko, though, he's one I've seen a lot of people saying, should I pick him up or not? Had a few people asking me on Twitter earlier. I would not recommend Bakayoko for the price, just because right now he's 150k. And, I mean, he's got 49 shooting, look at that. He's not a good shooter. If you look at him in real life, he does not score many goals. If you saw him in the United game, his shooting was awful. He missed some really, really easy opportunities and just smashed them over the bar. He's not that likely to get informs throughout the year just because he's not that type of goal-scoring midfielder. He's a great defensive midfielder, but he's not the type of player who gets many informs throughout the year. He's like someone like Matic or Kante who don't get many informs. They do a great job for their team, really good defensively, but they're not the types of players to get informs. So for 150k personally, I would not go with Bakayoko. I'd rather spend that coins on a lot of cheaper players. I think that is a better route to go down. Pastore, wouldn't really recommend him just because he's not playing too much for PSG right now, although he is quite cheap. You can pick him up if he drops to about 20k or so, but I'd personally rather go with people like Welbeck and Oxlade-Chamberlain because they play in a more popular league and they're more likely to rise in price. Also, although he does have a decent card, I mean, good passing, dribbling, 4-star skills, he does only have 71 pace, so I just don't see him rising up too much in value. You can pick him up though if you want, as he is quite a cheap card. Kingsley Coman, he's pretty cheap. He's about 40 to 50k, and just like Rodrigo, he's going to go up a lot if he gets an inform, as he's quite a low rated card here. He'll go up to like 81 or 82. I'd say if he drops below 40k, could be a decent one to get because he does play for Bayern Munich. He doesn't get a starting position though generally because Robin and Ribery are the main players who start. So he's not going to be starting all their games, but he does score goals for them. If he comes off the bench, you never know. He could get a goal or two, which he has done throughout the year, and he could rise up in value and could make you a fair few coins. So that's a decent one, but I will be covering the ones I definitely think are the best at the end. I'll go through like my top 5. I've already covered a few of them, but I'll say which are the best ones in my opinion to invest in. Now, Asensio is one who does have a good card. The trouble is, though, he's a winger, and if he gets in forms, he plays normally centrally for Real Madrid, as Ronaldo plays left wing. And if he gets an inform, he's going to be generally a central player, maybe an attacking midfielder or a centre mid, and that card's going to be worth a lot more than this winger position card, because no one's really going to want to go and get a winger who has maybe about 80 pace or so, and doesn't have amazing stats for a winger, when they could get a central version of the card where he'd just be a lot better suited to being a central player than a winger. He doesn't have stats that would suit a winger, whereas he has stats that would really suit a central player with a good dribbling and passing. So I wouldn't really recommend him just because of the position change. If he gets an inform, it's going to be a central player most likely, and that's going to be more popular than this, so he's not going to rise up too much in value. And because of his price, I think there are better, cheaper options to go with. Divock Origi, good thing about this card is it's a striker. The trouble is though, he is very, very expensive right now. About 100k for an 82 rated card is a lot. That is because he's already had an inform, so he has been boosted up overall here. As you can see, I reckon if he drops to maybe 70ish k, could be a good one to get, but the only issue is his inform is a lot cheaper. It's about 30k. I know this is a striker, which is good because if he gets informs on the wing, this one will still stay as a striker, which is always good. We've seen that obviously with his inform, it's a right mid, but this card's a striker, so if he gets any more on the wing, this will go up a lot in value, and he does have a good card, so you could pick him up. It's just quite risky because of the price. If you compare that to his inform, he is a lot more. I'm not sure how well he's playing right now for Wolfsburg. I think he is starting though, but he is playing out wide on the wing, so he's not going to be getting lots of goals, and for the price, there are probably some, you could probably get more cheaper investments, and maybe it will be a little bit less risky, but it's a decent one. It's a decent one. I'll keep an eye on his price. If he drops cheap enough, definitely one I would pick up. Gabriel Jesus, I think, is just too much. I mean, he is going to get informs throughout the year, but he is just overpriced. We saw with Mbappe, for example, he went to like 900k or so, his ones to watch card when he got a goal, but his inform is only worth about 400k, and people have started to realise how overpriced he is, and the ones to watch items now dropping in price. I think 800k is just too much for Jesus, and personally I wouldn't really recommend it. He is going to get informs, but I would much rather get a lot of cheaper investments than one big card like this. Moving down onto the bench, though, we've got a few cards down here. Giuliano's a great one in my opinion. He's like 14 or 15k now. He'll drop even cheaper. He's a good one potentially for SBCs, but also he's got a good card. Not the best of leagues, but a good nation and some really nice stats. And he could get a few informs throughout the year. He got plenty last year, and if he does, he's going to go up a nice amount in price. I reckon easily like 25k or so, and he can make you some good coins because he's a cheap one. Definitely one I would recommend. Dimitri Payet, I mean, yes, he will rise up before games, but the trouble is, who really wants to use a winger who is most likely, even if he gets an inform, going to have under 80 pace? Yes, he's got good passing and good dribbling, but the only position people would want to use this guy in is as an attacking midfielder or a centre mid. No one's going to want to use just this slower winger when there are lots of other options. So personally, I wouldn't recommend going near him just because he doesn't have a good card for a winger. He just isn't quick enough, so he's not going to go up too much in value. Now, I would say the same for Forsberg, it's just he is a lot cheaper right now. He's about 20k, so he's going to cover SBC routes as well, but also, he's a really good player. He's playing for one of the best teams in the Bundesliga, who are on very good form right now. I could easily see this guy getting a few informs throughout the year. The only issue is, though, he is a left winger, or a left mid rather. He is quite slow. He's not going to go up massively in price, but he covers SBCs. He's an 83 rated card. He could probably drop to about 17, 18k, and he's got a good chance of getting inform. So I see him rising up a bit. He's not going to go up massively. There's not going to be too much hype around him just because of his winger position, but I could definitely see him getting a few informs throughout the year, and it's a decent investment to get. Alejandro Gomez, I personally don't like this as an investment just because he's quite expensive, but also he's a winger, and this guy plays on the wing for Argentina, but as a player for his team, Atalanta, he plays as a centre forward. So if he gets informs, he's going to get them as a centre forward. They're going to be a lot more popular than a winger, just because people like using strikers with a lot of pace more than they like using wingers, really. You always see that if a card gets a kind of striker card, for example, Messi, all his like centre forward or striker cards, or Ronaldo, for example, they're normally worth a lot more than the winger cards. Even if it's like a first inform, it's often going to be worth more than like a third inform, just because it may be the only version in the middle. We saw that with striker Ronaldo last year, for example. He was worth a lot more than some of the winger cards, just because people preferred using strikers. And also, he's not had the best of seasons so far. Atalanta haven't really had as good form as they did last year when they managed to get into the Europa League. This year they haven't been as good. Alejandro Gomez also hasn't been as good either, so I don't see him getting as many informs as he did last year, and because of the winger position, I would not recommend getting this investment here. Leroy Sané, though, one thing about him, if he wins Player of the Month next week, keep an eye on that. If he does win it, he's going to get an 85 red card. I know this one won't get boosted to that, but he is so likely to get informs throughout this year. He's probably been Manchester City's best player. I mean, De Bruyne's been the best player, but on form, this guy, he's one of the best to watch, and I think he's got the most combined goals and assists, so the most goal involvements for City throughout the year. And although most of the hype seems to be around Jesus, watching them both play, this guy, he looks even better than him. He's more involved. He's been on such good form recently, getting a lot of goals, a lot of assists. He's very likely to get informs. Now, as I said, if he gets Player of the Month, he's going to be 85 rated. This one won't get boosted up, but his next inform, it will surpass that Player of the Month card, so it'll be like an 86 or something. And if he gets an inform, which he's very, very likely to, you then instantly get like an 86 rated card. It would surpass that Player of the Month card, would be worth an absolute ton to it. So I definitely think Sané is a good one to get if you've got the coins. If he drops to about 250 to 200k, could be a good one to get. Stefan El Shaarawy, he's another good one. I like the look of him. He's not actually that much. You can probably get him for about 50 to 60k when rewards come out. He's already got an inform, which is worth about, or was worth about 35 to 40k. But now is worth about 25k just because this card's out of pack, so it's not worth that much more than what his inform originally was. So I think that's a good one to invest in, and also just because of how well he's played this season. He scored 2, I believe, against Chelsea. He's been on really good form, scored some really nice goals, and for that reason I think he is going to get more informs throughout the year, and he's got 5-star skills. He's got a really good card. Like, if he gets another inform, he's going to have over 90 for dribbling and pace, and he's going to have really good shooting as well, good passing. And being in for like 50, 60k, definitely a good one to pick up in my opinion. Renato Sanchez, not the best just because he isn't playing at all really for Swansea, and Swansea haven't been on the best of form. They score very, very few goals. Tammy Abraham is involved in like 80% of their goals, and Renato Sanchez hasn't been involved in any. He's not even starting really. Although like Rodrigo, he will get a big boost if he gets an inform. I just don't see him getting any informs throughout the year, so I would personally not pick him up. He doesn't really play for Portugal either, so he's not going to be getting informs for them. And then we've got Rashford as well. I think just like Rodrigo, he'll get a big boost if he gets informs, and he is going to get informs throughout the year, but personally I would prefer to get someone like Sané, because Sané is higher rated. He's going to get probably more informs this year so far. Sané has been better. He's been involved in more goals. He's got more goals and more assists, but because of the price, I would rather get either lots of cheaper investments or one card like Sané rather than someone like Rashford, just because he's quite a low rated card, 79 rated and about 150k. That is a very, very high price for quite a low rated card. And then the final couple of cards, we have got Raphael Varane. Now he is right now about 120k. Trouble is, he is currently injured for Real Madrid. Not exactly sure when he's going to be back. When he is back, he's going to be starting for them, which is going to increase his price whenever he plays. He's got a really good card, but it's quite hard for centre-backs to get informs. They have to score a goal generally, or put in a really good performance, like a man-of-the-match performance, for example. So it's quite rare that they do get informs. So I wouldn't really recommend spending 150k on him, just because even though he would get a really good card and he would be worth a lot of coins if he got an inform, Just the fact that he is a centre-back, and it's very uncommon, or very hard rather, for centre-backs to get informs. It's very hard to predict when they're going to get informs. Like they just have to score, really. So even if they're on really good form defensively and have been great throughout the season, often they could go a whole season without scoring and they're not really going to rise up too much in price. So personally, Varane isn't the best, just because for the same price you could get a lot of better investments. So he isn't one I would go near, and I think that's pretty much it covered for all of these cards. My best investments, definitely take a look at people like Wagner, Carvalho, and also Hervedes. They're really good cheap ones to get. Marquinhos is a good one, just because I think he'll probably get informs throughout this year and will rise up a lot in value. People like Danny Welbeck and Oxlade-Chamberlain, they're quite cheap. They're going to cover you for SBCs, and also they're going to rise up before games because they play in the Premier League and are English. Giuliano's another good one, good card, cheap, useful for SBCs, and could get informs throughout the year. Sane, if you've got the coins, he's a really good one to get. Forsberg's a good one, covering both SBCs, and also is going to play quite well, hopefully, throughout the season. Rodrigo, you can get him very cheaply, so I would pick him up just because if he gets informs, he will get boosted up a lot. And that's pretty much it, I think. You could maybe get people like Coman, but possibly Origi as well, possibly Rashford too. I think El Shaarawy too, he's another good one to get. But the ones to stay away from personally, Gomez, Payet, Asensio, wouldn't get them just because those winger positions, they're not going to be as popular. Jesus is just too expensive. Bakayoko is unlikely to get informs throughout the year. And Varane, just because he's a centre-back, he's very expensive and it's hard for centre-backs to get informs. So normally I wouldn't really recommend going with him. So those are the investments. Renato Sanchez, that's another one. Don't go with him just because he's not really playing. But those are the investments. Hope you guys have enjoyed. I know it's been a really long video. If you're still watching, let me know in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoy though, and I'll catch you in my next video. Take care.